Hello, Creative Starch friends, and welcome back for week 8. We're going to have a good, juicy conversation today. I know. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so funny. Okay, so our words this week are openness, practicality, and progress.
These are tough ones.
I know they are. This is the first week that we've kind of been stumped a little bit.
I'm not stumped, right? Maybe some resistance, like you talked about on social media about resistance to practicality.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see where the discussion goes, because not as obvious. Like every week we've been like, oh my God, these three, they all go so well together. And I think we got to open the can a little bit and look inside to see how, like, even just thinking about it, looking at them, writing them down makes such a big difference for me.
It really does. It really does. And I have to say, because what is really important, what came out of this for me, because I just took it at face value. We just had a really brief, Connor went through and did some really short definitions for us initially. And so I'm just like trying to be efficient, right? I just go and I read his short definition. I write down, I'm like, oh, that doesn't work for me. The short definition that I read, this is just to defend myself, okay, was using things for their intended use. That was the definition that I got for practicality. So I'm like, yeah, that does not resonate with me whatsoever. Did Andrea go back and like, let me see what else I can find on practicality? No, I just went down that doesn't work for me. That is in opposition to every other, right? That is in opposition. So I went down that rabbit hole of like, I reject practicality in favor of innovation. Using things for their intended use is boring and limiting and not something I value very much. That's what I wrote. I must have been in a grumpy mood that day.
And yet, paintbrushes are meant to paint with.
I know, but how many other things can you use paintbrushes for?
Probably a lot, right?
A lot.
But at their essence, they're very practical.
At their essence, they are practical. Yes, they are a tool. But you know what? You don't need just paintbrushes to apply paint. You've got fingers, you've got other tools, and so on and so on and so on. And so at that minimal definition of the word practicality, something being used for its intended use, I was just like, nope, I am more of an innovator than somebody who goes after practicality. And yet I'm glad that I had that I posted that and opened up the discussion on Instagram, because I heard a lot of other people chiming in and Facebook, because it feeds over to Facebook. And so I heard a lot of people saying, you know what, I had to do something because it was practical in the moment, and that's what kept me going. And so it was really good for me to have that visceral reaction, right? And then open it up and discuss it with other people. And so the one thing that I learned, among many things that I learned, is number one, don't take it just with one definition, but also discuss it with other people. Talk about it. Don't just make up your mind like split instinct. Okay, no, I reject that word, and then step back and like, don't be open, because there's our openness. Well, there's the lead in. See what I did there? Don't close yourself off to the possibility that there could be something there for you.
Yeah. So I think I said this to you on some other call. As a Capricorn and an earth sign, I am so practical at my core and innovative, right? I love the way that practicality creates constraints and serves me in moving things forward. I love knowing what things are for. Doesn't mean I don't love being outside of the box and innovative and thinking about other use for them. But, you know, a pen is for writing and mark making. Like, I love knowing the intended use of something. So for me, that's part of practicality. And going back and looking at what some of those broader definitions, and we've done that throughout, so other people haven't seen that. But, you know, Connor did like pick the first definition and that was it, which wasn't my intended plan. I know, totally. But going back and looking for some more progressive, or more expansive definitions, there's some interesting thoughts around practicality, like it's a detail or consideration involved in putting something into action. The constraints or demands of real life or actual implementation, like matte medium applied with a credit card has a practical implication. You're not ruining your paintbrushes, our beloved Princeton paintbrushes, right? So, but I also really like the one that was about the quality or fact of relating to actual activity, especially ordinary, everyday activity, and the practicality that I have to be really open to thinking about, is this practical for Minette at this stage, at this body weight, at this level of inspiration to go walk a marathon tomorrow? Not so much, right? And so it can also serve me about looking at what are the constraints and the possibilities, right, of things. And some things like my mom taught that sounded smart and practical are kind of outdated. Like I grew up learning that you should never put something hot directly into the refrigerator because it cooled down the refrigerator. It sounds super practical, but apparently the truth is that doesn't really happen,
I think
right?
there's some food safety rules around it though.
There are,
So
there
there
for
may
sure.
be, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you aren't supposed to put the lid on really hot things because bacteria grows, but that's
Right.
different than
Right. Putting it, yeah.
sticking it into the
Yeah.
fridge.
The old
But
wives' tales, right.
some of
Yeah.
those old wives' tales, they sound so practical,
Yeah.
which brings me, I think, back around to openness, which connects back to one of my favorite values, curiosity,
Yeah.
right? And when we're openness can be openness to new ideas, openness to innovation. It can be openness, like open-minded. Clearly, Andrea and I have been super open with all of you guys. Like there's an openness to us in this whole creative process that is on that edge of vulnerability and sharing what's important to us, right? And so openness about our frustration, openness about our delight, openness about the values. I love the way, Andrea, you talked about they're just like, they're ingredients in ourselves that
Like the
can't be
fabric.
separated out,
Yeah.
the fabric, you know. So when I think about the intersection of openness and practicality, if I can just honor and acknowledge the practicality of something and then go to that openness of what else is possible here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that one because
Practicality or openness or both?
I'm gonna have to work on accepting practicality as it just seems like it's in so much in opposition to I know I'm just so like such a rebel on that one.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on it.
Yeah.
Because what's so funny is I'm reading these definitions and you gave me not just one, not just two, but like, I mean, A through N on some of these. You're like, if she didn't have enough before, I'm going to give her, let's just see how many we can give her.
You know, when you cut and paste into Google, like
oh,
all
I
the
know.
example sentences, it's
exactly.
just, I'm like, maybe I should take some of those out, but I thought they were
Exactly.
really interesting.
But what's interesting is I'm looking on openness and it says the quality of being receptive to new ideas, opinions, arguments, and open-mindedness. And that to me feels in opposition to practicality. You know what I mean? Like they're conflicting to me because practicality is all about like doing what it's designed for, and it's not looking to new ideas or open or opinions or things like that. So they seem to be somewhat at odds to me.
Yeah.
And maybe
and
my
to
mind
me, they're just, rather than seeing
parallel.
them at odds, no, not parallel, like shades, right? From practicality through openness to innovation, right? Like we start with, okay, I mean, think about like a design think tank, right? All right, here's the practical, here's what we know this is good for. And then when we turn to openness and curiosity, we can go, oh, okay, we know that this is the practical intended use. what else is possible, which leads us to innovation, and innovation leads us right to ding, 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 progress.
Yes. So that's where I want to be. So, okay. I can accept that practicality is the necessary start. Okay. I
Yeah,
can
it
accept
is.
that. I can accept
Yeah.
that. I just am so excited to get beyond practicality that that's where I reject it. So I'm just like, all right, bye-bye practicality. We're
Yeah.
moving on because I want progress.
You know, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, okay, why is practicality important to me? Because you know me, I'm super open, I'm innovative, I love progress, but there's parts of my life where practicality has a lot to do with security and knowing what to expect from others, what to expect from my computer, what to, expect from my refrigerator and my dishwasher. Like there's something about
Yeah.
practicality that we all put our pants on one leg at a time. That's just practical, right? Like
Do
remember
you
the old
do?
days,
Who says
putting
I
your
don't put
jeans.
both?
I'd love to see that. Remember when you were a teenager, you wore the super tight jeans and you would be lying on the bed, kicking your legs, trying to
Yep.
pull the jeans up and get them zipped? Not so practical.
Mm-mm.
But, we did it anyway. And so to me, all of these values, there's so much interplay and give and acknowledging. It's like, okay, why do I like this? And what could I learn from being a little more open? Or why do I have so much resistance around this? Like, there's some of the words that have brought up, it's like,
Yeah,
no.
discipline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Discipline was a hot button for me, but I do see the necessity of it. I see how it can move me forward. I'm gonna have to sit with practicality for a little bit. But I do love the idea that the value of progress,
Yeah.
movement toward a goal, further or higher stage, going forward, growth and developing and complexity scope,
Yeah.
or advancing. So that is definitely something that I hold near and dear because I feel like I've seen progress in my own. I'm not looking for perfection. So that is one of
That's
the
exactly what I was going to say. It's progress
catchphrases.
over perfection.
Progress, not perfection, is one of the catchphrases in recovery. And that's like, we're just looking to continually nudge that needle, nudge the needle, nudge the needle. And I'm not looking for perfection, but I'm definitely looking to continually progress in what I'm doing. And the way I do that is repetition. I just continue to show up. The consistency of showing up is how progress works for me.
I love that. And progress requires openness, right? Like if we're stuck in either perfectionism or judgment or, oh my God, no structure, no discipline, progress can't happen. So again, it seems like there's this just kind of beautiful continuum between the three where we're over here in kind of the tried and true practical, but if we can get ourselves out of that into curiosity, being open-minded, open to ideas, innovation, trying new things, then we're free to make progress, which means we have to embrace change, right? Like I think about, all of the values, it almost feels like, we could put them on a spinner wheel, right? And just like spin the top and any of them is going to connect with the other ones, because I do think that it's the collective energy of knowing what matters that keeps moving us further towards not just the end of the creative stretch, but to knowing ourselves and to coming full circle to week number 1, to authenticity and alignment, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm warming up to practicality. I like the way that all three of them work, because as I was talking about progress and how I have the way that I progress is that I show up consistently. I'm like, well, that's kind of a practical method of showing up, right?
It is. And
Like,
it is
you just,
discipline too. It takes a lot of discipline to show up, takes courage, right? And it takes openness to show up in the fullness of who we are, mistakes and all.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, openness is first, not only, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's actually a
Well, it's,
very practical belief too, right?
I
To
know.
first not only.
Maybe, okay, it's just aspirational that I want to reject it, but maybe I am practical and I just don't want to admit it. All right. Well, it's been a juicy conversation. I can't wait to get into the artwork with you. This is one of the weeks where we get to do a creating lesson together. So I'm looking forward to sharing that. And thank you guys for being along for the conversation. This is always so much fun for us to have these conversations together, but also to have the conversations in the larger group as well. So we can't wait to hear what you have to say about these core values as well.